Gen Con 2022 rocks on. Yes, it is still day 2.
Yeah.
And hanging out at the Talsorian Games exhibit area is one of my favorite role-playing game creators, because the check cleared, I can say that, Mr. Chris Spivey. Chris, thank you so much. This is the first time you and I have actually got to talk face-to-face.
I know, it's a little weird seeing what you look like.
I know. It's not impressive, folks. Not at all.
I'm hoping to get a refund for my check.
When COVID is gone, I'm going to just continue wearing a mask. I'm not going to... In fact, I might wear goggles. So let's talk about some items that you've got available. You've got a new role-playing game that came out, which very recently, if I understand this correctly, I believe Talsorian Games is now distributing, right?
Talsorian Games is my distributor, along with Indie Press Revolution. Talsorian Games were nice enough to reach out to me and say, hey, we really like your product. Would you like us to distribute it? It took me a couple seconds to say yes.
Right.
And since then, it's been great.
And of course, we're talking about Haunted West, which obviously enough is a European-based game. No, it's a Weird West game, but it's not overly weird, I guess we'll say.
I will have to respectfully disagree.
Really?
Yes.
See, now,
Haunted West is built with a concept that you can tailor to however your group wants to.
Yeah, that's true.
So it has layers of everything. So it's built to be historically inclusive that a lot of other Weird West games aren't at all.
Right.
And I use that layer of truth so you don't confuse what's real. And I layer a chunk of different types of weird on it, ranging from indigenous nations to immigrants that came over to aliens. And that lets you as a group decide, do I want it to be like mostly historical, where we die of dysentery,
right,
or do I want it to be full of werewolves and vampires and greys that we're shooting out with?
And you still die from dysentery.
Well, that's an added bonus.
It's the Oregon Trail, what can we say?
So it depends on you. I gave the players and the balladeer the capability to make the game as they want to make it.
See, and when I say it's... See, to me, Weird West is usually really over the top. And yes, but one of the things I always respect about just about anything that I've encountered that you've created is you immerse yourself in the history. And we're talking the real history, not necessarily what you might be taught in school books. Although, do they even use school books anymore? I'm not sure.
I think they do. They're on iPads, but still.
And, I mean, it's fascinating. The amount of research you have done. I gotta say, out of the creators that I know, you're probably right up there with the amount of historical research you do.
Thank you. It took a number of years to make it, and for I couldn't have made Haunted West without having made Harlem Unbound. Mm-hmm. And I used all of that knowledge and I applied it to this, and then I also brought on an amazing team of diverse, inclusive creators, because we're telling a lot of stories. Sure. And it's not for me to tell their stories, but I want their stories to be told. So I provided them a platform to tell all these stories, so we included all of the people that made up America. Sure. And what was the land before it even became America.
Right. Because many people don't realize that the expansion into the West was not a simply white Anglo-Saxon person experience. It was all walks of life, from Mexican cowboys to freed slaves to, well, unfortunately, Confederate rebels, the Asian people, both Chinese and some Japanese.
That primarily built the railroads that the country used to survive.
They and the Irish.
And so many people didn't even know that like around 30% of all the cowboys were former enslaved or black people.
Right.
It is a massive number that history has tried to erase. And I wanted to make sure these stories were told and highlighted, but at the same time, it needs to be an engaging game, so that's why we have the weird. That's why I made a brand new system that is built to engage with it, and tailored the system, much like everything else, so that the balladeer and players can decide how much weird they want, how much actual crunch they want, compared to almost a full narrative flow. The one crux is, it has that feel of gambling in it with the jack system that I invented.
And I also like the fact that if you wanted to play your own, say, modern day Boot Hill, you easily can. There's no need to have paranormal items in it, supernatural items. You could play a historical Western game if you wanted to. But of course, my audience doesn't want that. They want, the mythos and aliens and folklore and things like that.
The game I ran today called Homeward that I'm writing is another scenario, is all about vengeance and Montana vigilante committees and some of the people that came back that were actually werewolves. And so the players got to try to track down what happened, learned real history, and ended up having to battle it out with werewolves without Silver and realizing what they needed, and then ran away to try to find Silver to come back.
It's pretty sweet. So let's talk a little bit about what I feel is possibly the one Call of Cthulhu supplement that everyone needs, and that is the second edition. Although the first edition is fantastic too. The second edition of Harlem Unbound, which is from my friends over at Chaosium Inc. Another title where it's like, man, it is just dripping in history. And another aspect I love about your work is people learn things reading it. And it's like, wow, that is just fascinating. And a lot of people like me didn't realize just how vibrant Harlem was at a particular time and how that was kind of squashed. And I love all the options that are available in Harlem Unbound. It is a fantastic supplement.
Thank you. The Harlem Renaissance is probably one of the most important things in our history, and just not American history, but like European history and everything else. Because there's a part of it that went over to France, because once America kind of crushed it here, a lot of the Renaissance people went over to France and other places in Europe where they could still sort of do things. And for instance, a lot of the black soldiers that were deployed in World War I taught the French about music and things like that. They brought from here to there. So it's all there, but people don't read it or engage with it because history tried to cover it up. And the thing is, when I'm presenting it, I'm presenting the full story, like the good parts, the bad parts,
right,
and then providing a modern context of saying, hey, this is what happened, and then my own opinion that I've also boxed out so you can see the difference between actual history and what I think, so there's no confusion.
And there's a couple of F-bombs get dropped, but we're adults, we can handle it.
It's an important subject for me.
It is. And like I said, I've been fascinated by everything you've done. Well, not everything. I'm not familiar with everything you've done. But starting with Dead Man's Stomp, I was like, man, this is a fantastic jazz era adventure. And how long ago did that come out? I don't mean to age you here, but
I think it was like 1993. And I played it, when I first read it, I was like, this is almost speaking to me, but I see everything wrong with it. And I had the joy of actually getting to help revise it for the new editions.
Yes.
And getting to meet one of my writing heroes, Mark Morrison, who helped create the Dead Man's Stomp. So that was a lot of fun.
So let's talk about another one of your heroes, but a role-playing game creator hero. Because, I don't know, for some reason I think we're at Michael Pondsmith's booth here. Oh yeah, we are. And you had mentioned before we started the interview here that he was a great influence on you and getting into the hobby as a creator. So let's give him some credit.
I've been gaming since I was 5 or 6, but it wasn't, and I always would write my own stuff and I would make worlds, but I never thought I could publish or do anything with it. But then I encountered, I want to say, like Castle Falkenstein and the Bubblegum Crisis books, and I learned that they were by Mike, and I learned that Mike was black, and that sort of helped open a door that was cracking open slowly for me to know that if Mike can do this and make these amazing things, then maybe I could too. And he came and complimented Haunted West and the amount of work that it went into it yesterday, and that means more to me than any of the awards or anything else I've gotten for it.
One other thing I should mention with Haunted West, and I have reviewed it, if off the top of my head, I think it was a 9 out of 10 I gave it.
I think it was a 9.5.
Was it a 9.5?
I could quibble, but
you know how
that is my creative
artist.
Hundreds
of reviews there are.
But I am an artiste.
That's right. You're like, yeah, 9. You're like, where's that 10? What happened to the 10?
Then I looked and they gave Harlem Unbound first and second edition 10s. So yes. I quibble less.
So yeah, when I say that you have to own that for Call of Cthulhu, I'm not bullshitting anybody. I mean, I honestly feel that way. But one thing I want to mention about...
Sorry, before we move, one of the best compliments I got for Harlem Unbound first edition, was from your reviewer that lives in New York that tweeted out that reading Harlem Unbound is like walking down the street of New York.
That's Sammy.
That is success right there.
That is Sammy. She does fantastic written reviews. See, if you only watch the videos, you miss so much of the Gaming Gang. And you don't have to look at my mug. But one thing I was going to mention, Haunted West clocks in at over 800 pages of content.
I cut 35% of it so I could squeeze it into a tight 800 pages.
Tight. So that's a hell of a lot of content out there, ladies and gents. But swinging back over to Haunted West, what's on the horizon? That you can share. I know you've got stuff.
Redacted and redacted.
Excellent. I had somebody earlier say, I'll tell you what's coming. And he just leaned in and said, I'm not telling you. And I was like, oh my God, really?
But I will give you this one. I am still making scenarios and maybe some source books for Haunted West from all the material that I cut.
So I have one last question. How's your Traveler campaign coming along?
So my day job, because this is what I do for fun when I'm not with the wife and kid, but my day job changed, so I've had to put it on hold.
Oh, really?
I got to run about 6 sessions. The players are into it, and then they said, we want you to come back into the office and commute again. And I like money, so I said, I will come into the office and commute.
There's that damn thing called bills that have to be taken care of. So, okay, so I've got another last question for you then.
So your last question.
Last
or
question.
Or will we have a last question?
No, it really will. And then I'll give you the final word, so that's good. What is your favorite role-playing game that you have absolutely no affiliation with?
Wow, that is...
I like to throw, interesting little questions in at the end.
The first edition Slate Industries by Nightfall Games.
Oh my gosh.
Because I got that when I was in high school. I read it for an entire weekend, and then I just started playing it. I still have my first edition book that's falling apart, but I put the pages back into.
I did not see that coming. I really did not see that one coming. Because that is well, I mean, there's
sci-fi is my favorite genre. I just haven't had a chance to write in it yet.
Oh, really? Okay.
Second by superheroes.
Sweet.
Horror is like my fourth genre.
Wow, I can't wait till you start writing about something you like. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with the audience, Chris?
Since we're here, you're going to watch me walk to say that you need to come and buy this book. We're at the booth. They're a little bit of ways. It is amazing. If you like Harlem
Gen
Unbound,
Con will be over by the time they see this.
I don't care. They can order online. If you liked Harlem Unbound, I love Harlem Unbound, but I am prouder of this than Harlem Unbound from the sheer amount of work and dedication it took to create this. Harlem Unbound is hard. This is almost impossible. Please give it a look.
And that care shows. It really does. It really does. Excellent, Chris. Thanks so much for taking some time out to chat with me here at Gen Con.
Appreciate your time.
At the Talsorian Games booth. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.